what's up? What's up, Ember Youth? I'm gonna do our weekly Devo. We're on Ecclesiastes. Chapter 3 today. I'm gonna read verses 1 through 8 and give you guys a few thoughts. It says, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. Time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." So actually, that was a song I think back in the '70s. I can't sing it right now, but it it basically just reminds you that hey, there is a season, there is a way that things happen, and just like right now it's summer, it's bright outside, and we have winter seasons where it snows, we have fall seasons where leaves change color, and spring seasons where flowers and things start to bloom. It just says that these things happen. And I think what's really interesting is that it says later on that God has made all of these things beautiful in its time. So it's not that only a time to be born is beautiful and then a time to die is, not from God. It's not saying that, only time to laugh, and enjoy, that's only from God, but a time to weep, that is not from God. Um, like it's saying like all of these things like in its time, like war and peace, love, and hey, like it's like God oversees it all. So in saying that, it's not saying God enjoys death or weeping or hate or war, because he does not enjoy any of that, and he does not enjoy any of the injustice that he sees going around the world. He does not like that. So I want to make that disclaimer and says he does not approve of that. But with that said, I think what this chapter is saying is that like God, like somehow in his sovereignty, in his just knowledge that I don't know, like he has made all of this. And so I definitely do struggle with that when he says he has made everything beautiful in its time. And so it's like I don't really understand why that there are times for war when we would rather have times of peace. I don't really know why there are deaths happening and riots happening when we would rather have times for love and joy and laughter, when there's weeping and there are just times really like, like we want times to be healed, times to be built up. But right now it's a time to weep and a lot of just mourning and just suffering. And so I think with that, I think we just need to realize, no, these are not good things. And no, like a lot of this is from the enemy and from the world and not from God. But in it, like God somehow is in control over all of this. And he still has made all of this in his time. Like, I think that's something that I can't wrap my brain around. But with that said, the fact that God says for everything there's a season and a time for every matter under heaven, I think that should encourage you, and it should encourage me too, to know that it might be outside of my brain and that it might be outside of my circumstances. But God knew, this, COVID thing was happening. God knew that um, the race protests or riots and all of this confusion was going to happen. He knew that all of this good and the bad in his time, he owns it all. And I would love to just ask God right now, like, hey, why do you do this? What are you thinking about? But to know that we are under his care and we are made, it says, for eternity, for a life greater than this. I think that should hopefully give more assurance that we can trust God even in the difficult times, because things are going to get better, if not in this life, in the life to come. So maybe just ask you guys in closing, just to think about, hey, like what are the seasons that you've been through? What are the good times, and what have been the challenging times? What are the things that you want to ask God right now? Because just as I kind of wrestle with, how could this be beautiful in its time? Like maybe you have some of those questions too. And finally, like if there is a season for everything, and right now is a dry season, or maybe for some of you it's a growing season, like how does that encourage you to look forward to the days ahead? So hopefully you meditate with Ecclesiastes 3 with me, and hopefully see you next week. Thanks.